spent my childhood out riding bikes through the woods and running the roads of East Brainerd.
Martin Jeremy Bowling went to high school at Baylor, then college at Auburn. He says he had a job washing dishes at a restaurant and went home after work one night to find a message that changed his life.
It was the local Army recruiter there in Auburn, Alabama. He said I was exactly the kind of guy they were looking for, so I called him the next day.
He signed up and the Army paid for the rest of his college education. At the time, he was studying to become a physician.
I remember my brother, who's a couple years older than me, he gave me advice. He said, Jeremy, he was already in the Army, he said, Jeremy, when you get there, stay focused on your goal. Don't fall for all the hardcore stuff. Stay focused on your goal. And I hate to break it to your brother, I did not take your advice. But it's because that's where I belong, right? That's where I fit in best.
He served in the infantry with the historic 101st and 82nd Airborne. Colonel Bowling spent almost 30 years in the Army and experienced things he will never forget.
I was sitting on the border between Kuwait and Iraq as a captain and a member of the 3rd Infantry Division, and we were watching missiles get slung overhead, knocked out of the sky by our patriots, and preparing to invade Iraq.
Now that his Army career has officially come to an end, he's spending his time honoring a hero who fought in another war.
Most people cannot fathom making the personal decision to take that action that Sergeant Davis did.
About a year ago, we told you the story of Medal of Honor recipient Rodney Maxwell Davis. He jumped on a grenade during the Vietnam War to save other Marines. Family members and others close to this story told me last year that is just who Sergeant Davis was.
What you should understand is that he didn't take any mess from people who were treating underdogs, our people, poorly. So not a regular bully, like a real live stand-up hero.
There aren't many men who would done what Rodney Davis did. I mean, I tip my hat to him, and I can't imagine the kind of courage that he had to do something like that.
John Hollis has been working hard to help organize a trip to Vietnam to the location where Sergeant Davis was killed in action. Colonel Bowling is not new to trips like this. A few years ago, he took a group of Vietnam veterans and others back to the location of the battle at Hamburger Hill.
The Vietnam War, you will never put it behind us, because those veterans that came home from Vietnam, whether they decided to continue to serve in uniform or in some other capacity, was on their backs that our nation healed and continued to fight the Cold War successfully. And then they had to rebuild the Army such that we could live through the peace dividend of the 90s and be prepared for what occurred on 9/11. They did that.